Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on this review, we're taking a look at one of my favorite Iron Man armors, although perhaps one of the least likeliest for someone to say it's their favorite. But today we're looking at the Marvel Studios Infinity Saga Iron Man Mark I Resin Bust from Diamond Select. I very much have a soft spot for the Mark I armor from the very first Iron Man movie. I've just always liked the homemade look and feel of it. I always just thought it was really cool, to be honest. Simple as that. It just felt homemade and felt kind of real. So I've always been attracted to it, and I'm very excited to see what Diamond Select's going to do with it as far as one of their statues, especially with a resin statue giving us so much more potential for great detail and paint. So this right now you're taking a look at is just the front of the packaging here, which has a little bit of some logos, some titles, the usual stuff, but otherwise just the typical Diamond Select resin statue treatment, which is just really more or less a black background. Although I will admit, there's actually a lot more here going on than typically. We have some little particles and some logo stuff. That's, for them, that's more than usual. So we'll just show you guys the sides real quickly. Both sides are going to have the same thing, which is essentially just another pic of the statue with some more particles and his name on the bottom section there. We've also got the Infinity Saga logo on the very top of the packaging right over here, but really most of the action on these resin packages tends to be the back of the box. Which you can see right here is, again, a really cool image of that statue. I have to admit, they're really doing a lot more for this piece than they are normally with other resin statues via Diamond Select. You got this nice little glistening backlighting effect happening here. This sort of blue square to frame up the piece. Logos on the top as well as some more on the bottom. Surprisingly, a lot of stuff going on here on this packaging. Now, beyond that, we've got a little bit of information about the piece. No bio about Iron Man. Most movie pieces don't have bio information for whatever reason, but we do have a little bit of a credits for this piece here, which would be that this is designed by Nelson X. Asensio and sculpted by Juan Ramos. And don't forget to make mine Marvel, by the way. And just to let you know, again, last little piece of information. The statue we're looking at today is limited to 1,000 pieces. That's it, just 1,000 of these big boys. But that's still a lot. So without further ado, that's the packaging. Let's go ahead, crack this Iron Man out of his shell, and take a closer look at him from all angles. And one last note before we get completely into this video here, this statue does come with a certificate of authenticity, which once again has the number of the statue, so make sure you don't lose this piece here. All of them come with it. And here's our Iron Man Mark I bust out of the packaging. It looks pretty cool already, but you might notice that something is missing. Well, that would be his arms, because for the sake of, protecting the statue here, they have packaged the arms separately. So let's go ahead and show you guys how those attach right now. So first we have his left arm, which is right here. And it looks like this should just, I would imagine, just slide right on into the spot it's supposed to go. Yeah, that was it. So these pieces typically have magnets to help attach them. So that's what you're seeing right here. Just magnetize it right into the correct spot. And likewise, I think we're going to have the same thing here with this other arm, which, by the way, you'll notice is missing its hand. That's because the hand is also included separately. So we'll just go ahead. That one looks like no magnets for this piece. I think that one's just going to go, yeah, he's just going in there. And then I'm actually questioning now whether or not it's actually supposed to be that way. It looks like, oh, this looks like it might have actually been damaged. So that's probably not supposed to be that way. Okay, well, we're going to have to try and fix that later on. But at the very least, we'll get the rest of the arm in here, because that should snap in as soon as we get it into the right position. I think that would be it right here. So, yeah, all right, unfortunately, it looks like I got a little bit of a defective Iron Man statue, which kind of sucks. But hey, these things happen sometimes. It doesn't happen often with these videos, but occasionally it does happen. So on that note, let's just go ahead and start with the quick rotation so you can see this guy from all of his different angles and give you guys a better look at what's going on with this Iron Man Mark I. So it's unfortunate that we are kind of starting off on a sour note with this busted hand here. I think we should be able to fix that, though, with some super glue. That's usually the way to handle that, because otherwise it looks really cool. I'm actually very impressed by the amount of detail and the really cool paint job this statue has. It looks like it's metal. It's not metal, but it really looks like it's metal. This is also my first time kind of seeing the back of the piece here. A lot of really cool little details here. All the things that are powering this piece and powering all the different tools within the iron. You can see a lot of really interesting little bits and pieces here that I really like. And it's one of the reasons why I like this armor so much, because of how homemade and janky it looks. That's really the best word for it. Every angle of this thing is looking really cool already. Oh man, this is going to be a fun one. It's, again, I don't like that we kind of just started at this bad note here with this busted up hand, but, sometimes it just happens with these statues. and statues in general. So yeah, we'll deal with that later on. But first things first, let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of the finer details of this piece. Let's go ahead and start with the head. Now, normally we would talk about like likenesses and things like that with these kinds of pieces, but this is, you know, an Iron Man armor, so it's really not much here. And it's more of like a buckety, really, let's say rustic armor. Maybe that's a good word for it. It's a little bit more of a different kind of armor than what we're used to seeing with the more fancy Iron Man suits. So as far as like likeness goes, though, I mean, you know, I'm going to say this thing looks pretty darn good, pretty accurate here. There's a lot of cool pieces, a lot of cool details. I think that's what I want to focus on. So one of them being that you can actually see a bit of a human head kind of peeking out in this spot over here, which is a really cool little detail and adds a little bit more humanity to the piece. We're going to see that throughout it here. I don't know if it's on the opposite side as well. It might be covered, but yeah, you can still see there's a little bit of human peeking out there. So that's just showing you this is not really that super high tech yet. It's just literally a piece of metal shoved onto this guy's head. But it gets the job done, am I right? You can see there's like that latch on top of his head as well to kind of like seal him in there. I always like, especially just, you know, it's such a throwback to the original comics armor too. It's the way the mouth is, the way the eye slits are. Now, speaking of those eye slits, that's the one spot where like you can clearly tell they didn't really pay for the likeness rights. And that's fine because you can't really see Robert Downey Jr.'s face anyway, but you know, sometimes you can kind of get the essence of the eyes. I don't really think they captured that here. This isn't really Robert Downey's eyes to me, but it is still very human. I'll give it that much. So I'm not really complaining that much about it. Just a little thing there. If you're looking for that and you're expecting a Robert Downey Jr. likeness, you're not going to get that with this piece because that's really not what it's about. It's about this armor, and this armor is very cool. It got a nice little dent also on the top of the head there, which I really like. But let's start scrolling down a little bit and get to the real meat of this piece here, and that's a lot of the armor and the body detail. This, to me, is where it really starts to stand out. And we've got so much going on here. So I think really what I want to highlight is especially the paint job right now, because we have a bunch of different tones happening. We've got a brighter overtone here on the top, as well as some like weathering detail towards the bits that are welded. There's some darker stuff there to kind of show that that's been weathered more so. And that just adds so much detail and realism to the piece also. Because again, this is meant to just be like, you know, a hunk of armor, a hunk of iron, or whatever he's using for it, right? Whatever materials he's finding. So it's got to look very mechanical. And we're getting a lot of that here. And it's also feeling kind of slapped together. I mean, just from the way the joints are and everything here. You know, how even the welding sculpt, by the way, it just looks kind of realistic for what it is here. We have this cool little decal of the piece of the armor that was used. That was like from an actual thing that, you know, still has a label on it. We've got some more detail here on the shoulders, which are really cool. We've got, I think this side was not, it wasn't a flamethrower. I forget what this side was meant to be. I don't know if that side had rockets or not hiding underneath the arm, but it's just nice little detail over there. We'll throw them around to the opposite side. Actually, you know, before I talk about the opposite side, I do want to point out some of the detail that's kind of like hiding on his forearm here. I can actually just pop the arm off and get a better look at that. So yeah, you can see this is all the different controls and things for the armor. And again, you can see shirt detail and the actual human underneath it, which is a lot of fun. And this is what I think I like about this piece. You can just see like the craftsmanship that went into what Tony Stark had to do to make this piece. And how to make this armor. So yeah, just really cool little dents everywhere, lots of weathering, lots of shading. I also really dig this flame effect, by the way. That's like one of the, oh, there goes the hand. That's one of like the coolest parts I felt like of the film. Seeing this thing in action was the flamethrower bit. And again, yeah, the hand fell off, so at least I can give you guys a better look at just the hand. It's really cool. Just kind of sucks that it came busted like that. So I'll have to deal with that a little bit later on, unfortunately. We'll see if that can stay on the rest of the video. Hoping that it does. But for now, we'll just put that back in with the magnets. There we go. So at least the arm is stable. I'll give them that much. Let's take a look at the back, though, because that's really fun, too. Kind of going from the top again, we see we have a little bit of the fabric shirt of Tony Stark poking out underneath it. But then we've got all of this action happening right here. This is all like the little bits and bobbles that make this machine move. And it's a lot of detail in there, a lot of really cool attention to detail. It makes it feel like this is something that somebody at home could actually do. I mean, clearly it is not. It's not realistic at all. But this whole makeshift look here and this homemade vibe, it just adds, I think, a lot of realism. And that's why I like this. Because otherwise, Iron Man is such an unattainable fantasy. But this is where it all started. This is the roots of Iron Man and this crazy engine stuff that's going on here. And all that machinery just looks so cool. I like the way that's designed and it's painted. There's even a good amount of detail hiding in here, too. There's a lot of weathering effects. You've got all sorts of tubes going around here, which those are actually very firm, surprisingly firm. You know, as opposed to like that hand that popped off. It's kind of weird that hand popped off because like this is actually fairly sturdy. Otherwise, everything is feeling really solid. But whatever happened to that hand in shipping, I guess, just knocked it loose. We can see a little bit more of those details around the waist, more wires and things. And you can also kind of see little bits of, again, fabric shirt hiding in there. We'll kind of turn this a bit. This will be the front lower abdomen area, which is protected. And just great paint job again. And actually, you know, I want to take a pause there because there's not really much different on this opposite side here other than just giving you a better view of it. And I'll give you that shot right now so you can see it. And a little bit more of Tony Stark's body poking out of the machine here. But one of the bits I really like is this front section here, which is where his core is, or in this case, where he was protecting his heart. And this is one of those bits here. I kind of wish that would have had a light up function. Now, granted, I know they don't really do that with resin pieces for a number of reasons. It would absolutely drive the price up, but you know, Iron Man pieces, I feel like they kind of need, or it would be cool at least if they had like light up bits. And this right here is a great opportunity for that. But however, they did make this really nice bright white, so it really pops out a lot. There's a little bit more shiny detail in there to help it kind of really glisten, add some more brightness to it. So, you know, while it's not an LED light, it still serves a pretty good function as far as making this Tony Stark statue really kind of pop and feel like it's pulled straight out of the very first film. I like the pose too, by the way. The pose is just very simple, but it's an action-packed pose, because keep in mind, this isn't the more modern Iron Man suits. He can't just fly around in this thing yet. I mean, he can sort of, kind of, but not really do that much. It's very just battle-ready. You got like all the cool little stuff that's happening on that side. He's in the middle of the fight right now. This statue represents that moment of him escaping and fighting his way out of his prison. But yeah, you know, it's sorry, at the moment I'm just kind of just taken aback because I'm just enjoying the piece. But yeah, the pose is very solid. I'll just leave it at that before I keep rambling about that. One thing that's not so exciting is kind of this base here. Wasn't sure what to expect with the base, but it's kind of just the typical hockey puck, and it has very little detail whatsoever. It's just a simple flat cylinder, nothing special about it. But you know what? It's not really a complaint for me, because how much detail did it really need? Because you go pull back out and see everything we're looking at with this statue, and you remember, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff already to look at here. So having a more detailed base, it really could just detract from it. I mean, yeah, like this just kind of works. It kind of centers the piece. It helps to frame it as far as the shape of it goes, because this is, you know, as far as being mechanical, it's still a lot of organic shapes and a lot of curves and round bits to it. So we do kind of get this to remind us of those round pieces and add some more naturalness to it. But yeah, if it was like more complicated, I don't really know if it would do much. I feel like it actually would just kind of take away from the pose, and you know, like maybe it was more gears and electronic bits like this kind of stuff here. I feel like that would just start to distract you from everything else that's going on here. So I'm not begrudging the simple base here, just letting you guys know about it, and you can make your own decisions, but I'm fine with it. So overall, I gotta admit, this is just another great looking piece here from every element. Whether it's this flamey hand bit here, even if it is unfortunately a broken hand, still looks really cool. From just the different amount of details that's on this piece, from really head to toe, or in this case head to waist because it's a bust. This is just loaded with so many cool different things to it. I'm very happy with this piece. It's unfortunate that I got, unfortunately, this janky one with a broken hand. I'm hoping that if you buy this, and I'm pretty sure when you do buy this, it won't come that way. But, you know, hey, if you do buy it from anywhere, make sure you buy it from a place that does offer returns, so you can at least swap it out and get one that doesn't have that issue. And speaking of, if you do want to pick up the statue for yourself, we're going to have some affiliate links in the description of this video below, where you can pick up this statue and help support this YouTube channel all at the same time, whether or not you buy this piece. So go ahead, take a look. I do recommend this piece still, by the way, and even though I do have this unfortunate quality control issue of that busted hand, it is staying on for the most part, and I'm pretty confident that I can super glue it or Gorilla Glue it back into place, and it won't really be a problem. And I know that because I've done that before with similar resin statues. There's ways to do it and to keep it in the spot where it's supposed to be. So I'm not really sweating a ton about it, and I don't think you should either, because if you look back on the many, many other videos I've done from this company in particular, haven't had this issue happen that often. I'd say it's still enough for me to count on just a single hand. So with that said, giving it 2 thumbs up, or 2 flamethrowers up maybe, I don't know, but definitely giving this one a review that is positive all the way around. I think you're going to like this one a lot too. So don't forget to let me know in the comments what you think about this Iron Man statue, Mark 1 armor, what you think of all this thing here, because yeah, I'm really enjoying this piece. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.